the stage Oz Fudge from the Police Community Enforcement from Gander. Hello, Oz.
Hello, everybody.
A Ganderite, an actual Ganderite. I feel very privileged, very excited. Brian Mosher, who, yes, is from the local TV station at Gander, who was also a media teacher at the local high school, who also was portrayed as sort of Janice on stage. It was like an amalgamation of different characters. Hi, Brian.
How are you?
And gorgeous Marion Bradley, who we actually interviewed on 90.9 CFM, where I do the breakfast show with Benny Hannon. Marion was amazing. You were an air hostess on one of the planes that landed in Gander. We can claim you as one of our own now because you've married an Aussie and you're living in Mount Martha in Victoria. Please welcome Marion Bradley.
Thank you very much.
Oz,
yes.
Let's start with you. The Make-A-Wish kids, did it all end up okay in the end?
It did. There was 60 at St. Paul's and 30 went to Lewisport. And on the Friday, I get a call from one of our town staff, and they said, Oz, did you know that the Wish kids were there? And I said, well, no, I didn't. And I felt really bad about it because I had been in the school probably 50 times. I've seen the kids running around playing and doing, but I never knew that they were Wish kids. Aww. And then they said, did you know that there's 6 young girls? It's their birthday today.
Oh, wow.
And I was flabbergasted, or as we say, gobsmacked. And Kelly said, but we're not allowed to throw them a birthday party. And I said, why? It's their birthday. Well, there's 54 other kids. So I thought for a minute, and in my true Newfie fashion, I said, well, frig it. What we'll do is we'll have a birthday party for 450.
Yay!
Because that's how many people were in the school. And so my daughter dressed up as Commander Gander. She was Lisa, she was Commander Gander. I used to always tease her. She had the right size of beak to fit into the costume. But that was another story. And
Did you have a cake, Oz?
yes.
How big was the cake, Oz?
I'm getting to that.
It was my TV story of the day. How big was your cake, Oz? That's all.
I'm getting
It was
to that.
4 feet by 8 feet and in the back of a pickup truck. He didn't measure the doors of St. Paul's and they had to eat it on the parking lot.
Oh, fudge!
And
Ozzy?
yeah, but he's got me thrown right off now. He said he wasn't going to do that.
Only once.
And then our local Canadian Tire store donated all the birthday gifts. Our local co-op was the ones that made the cake.
How big was it, Oz?
Well, you already described it.
We had to back with the cameras and go on a wide to get a shot of it.
Yeah. But the thing about the six young girls, they were all terminal. And their desire, their want, their wish was to go to Disney World and have a fairy tale style princess birthday party. So how do you create that? So my daughter dressed up as Commander Gander. We got an RCMP. They had this big bear that they have dressed in an RCMP uniform, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. We got the local co-op mom and pop bears. There's a Mary Brown's chicken place, so that we got the Mary Brown's chicken and the A&W root beer. Because the idea behind it is, in Disney World, that's what it is. It's mascots. Yeah. And then we had the party. But what was the special surprise for the young girls was that there was 4 girls from my daughter's class who went home. They had some gowns from a costume party that they had. And they put the gowns on, put tiaras on, had the wands. They went to the school and they told the 6 young girls that Tinkerbell had phoned them and sent them to the school to wish them a happy birthday and to let them know that she had not forgotten them.
Oh, I love that.
And it was just an amazing thing to watch. And once the party was over with, there was a big gentleman there, and he called me over and he said, I have to tell you something. And I said, what's that? And he said, it's okay. And I said, it's okay. He said, yes, my daughter is one of the ones that's terminal. And we just had to tell her that she can't go to Disney World. And we asked her how she was feeling about this. And her answer was, it's okay. I've had such a good time here. I have been treated so good here. It's okay. So I want you to let all the staff know that it's okay.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful, Fudge. Just quickly, I mean, and, you know, for all of you, I mean, you were, you know, the Mounties handled all the sort of major criminal investigations and all that kind of stuff. You were kind of giving out the traffic tickets and making sure people weren't jaywalking, Fudge. You know what I mean? You were doing sort of local communities.
I don't call them traffic tickets. I call them gift certificates, and I thank them for shopping.
But what I mean is, it started out like any other day.
It did.
And then, you know, can you imagine when we all remember where we were, right? It started out like any other day, and then it wasn't like any other day.
No.
Ever again.
And, you know, I just watched this play for the first time in, almost 30 months?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it brought back memories. It hit me hard here today.
Yeah.
These guys have done such a magnificent job.
They really
It's
have.
unbelievable.
Thanks, Oz. Brian, I mean, wow, you were turning on the TVs at the local school because not only were you the journo, but you were also the media teacher at the school. And you were turning on the TVs and you saw the burning towers in New York. I mean, that is burnt into my memory for the rest of my life. What went through your body and your mind then? Because you were then going to have to explain to these kids. I mean, how did you even do that?
Yeah, my day started off kind of normal too. I thought my two biggest hiccups that day was a broken audio cable on my closed circuit system, because we had closed circuit right through the building of Gander Collegiate as a media teaching facility. And I did have to cross a picket line because all my support staff was on strike.
That's right,
Bus
the
drivers,
strike.
custodians,
Yeah.
Georgina the secretary, Lige the janitor, like the whole thing. So that was my two biggest hiccups on September 11, 2001. And I got the audio cable fixed very quickly, ran some live TV through it. Of course, you run cable. I had cable coming to my classroom. It was a very popular spot. And I would see the North Tower with the smoke coming out through it and, you know, caption plane hits World Trade Center. It's just some American market thing. I hope Buddy got his pilot's license fine. Change channels, it doesn't go away. Turn up the sound, it gets worse. The kids come into the head end room, which is off the main editing room, with me, and we would watch the plane hit the South Tower.
What went through you? What?
Your stomach sinks about 6 feet. It's that moment in your life you'll never forget, you know. But the thing is, Gander and New York are far apart, or at least I thought at that split second it was. Turns out they're a lot closer together than I really envisioned. And by lunchtime, we would watch the towers fall. After lunch, we would answer 100 questions from scared high school kids, all the way from, is Gander going to be attacked because we have a big airport and that's a way to cripple North America, to a very nervous principal telling us we had to, at 2:30, turn a school into a hotel. I don't know if you've ever tried that. If you can avoid it, don't. You know, it's walls and floors. It's about the only thing they have in common. We would get footage for my show that Thursday, because when the planes left the next morning, so we thought we'd need footage. And we would eventually stay the night with the passengers. And I got home 27 hours later, and I got a call at the end of my bed from my producer at Rogers Television. You're on the air in an hour. And I looked at myself, and I looked at him, and I'm going, what am I going to do? Well, you got to go to work. There's one of me. That was Wednesday morning, the 12th. I would get home Saturday night. And at 8:30 Saturday night, I would see my bed again. Don't ever do that to yourself. I couldn't think. I couldn't recite my full name. It was 3 live shows a day with the situation changing, evolving, and then you go back to school. You'd be on your Motorola 650 brick make-believe cell phone on your belt, organizing for the next day. Your producer would be calling back and forth. Yeah, it makes for a tiring thing after you've done that yourself for 5 straight days, but hey, look what we achieved. You know, I can look back now that I've got enough sleep in me and I didn't die. But, you know, it was pretty taxing. And I got to see Oz just about every time I turned around, because he was there like a stray dog that I fed. Yeah.
You guys formed bonds that, I mean,
Yes.
under the most tragic circumstances, friendships for life. I mean, and that's what made this musical so beautiful, so special, that, you know, so much came up. You guys are are bonded for life over something tragic, I know, but...
And it is literally that, you know, the worst of humanity brought out the best of humanity, and it's so cool. I mean, don't forget, we were a town of 9,300 people. That included the newborn baby at the hospital all the way up to the incapacitated guy at the old people's home. And there were lots of people that had jobs that couldn't just let them drop. I mean, the hospital had to keep going, the law courts had to keep going, the police had to keep going. So you're down to a core of a lot of people, or of a few people, but man, the effort was absolutely stellar.
It was amazing what was going on, and one of the privileges, and I guess I can call it a privilege, was my job as the town police officer was to go to every place that passengers were. And that way, and we had to fly the colors because people were coming into a community they didn't know. They didn't know if there was even police officers there. So I would get out of my car and go in, but I got to watch what the locals were doing. I got to watch how you know, the hugs that were given and the food that was given and just the love. And I think that's the big key word here is the love that was shown.
And it worked out really good for us at cable as well because there was no electronic communication in 01. There was makeshift email and not many people had it. But Oz would actually, and we never had a meeting or a discussion on this beforehand, but in those 11 shows that I did, he would show up before every show with a stack of paper. I mean, there was a municipal election on within that 2-week period. There was stuff being canceled, reorganized. Schools were running out of stuff. Public buildings needed specific menu items, coats, things, you know, activities that were planned. And he would show up before every show with a stack of paper, including one about toilet paper.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah, there's really two places. One was the Lions Club, and the other one was Gander Academy, which is a K-6 school.
720 passengers, 300 volunteers, and they're running out of toilet paper. I'm on the public airwaves saying St. Paul's needs some fish dishes. The Lions Club is looking for a few ground beef dishes. Gander Academy is running a little low on toilet paper. If you have a few extra rolls, could you bring it to Gander Academy? Thought nothing of it. Municipal election, advance poll is on this Saturday. Make sure you get out and vote. Signed off at 3:30. Thought nothing else of it. Officer Ding Dong shows up at 5:15.
I was waiting for the Ding Dong comment, by
on
the way.
cue.
You two need your own show.
And he's got, on the top of his stack of papers, he's got a typewritten, people use typewriters, typewritten note, and he's got in his ugly handwriting at the top.
Hey.
For the love of God. So it reads, for the love of God, please stop bringing toilet paper to Gander
So
Academy.
that was real. That was
And,
real.
Yeah, that's true.
I love
In the
that.
span of an hour and 15 minutes, true story, they filled a classroom with toilet paper.
Wow.
The rest
And
of
none
it
of
that
it was in
during the
cases or
pandemic.
packages. It was single rolls. The custodian hated me for years, you know. I went to his retirement, actually, he brought it up.
What I love about, I mean, obviously the inspiration of Come From Away is spontaneous kindness. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like going out and doing a good deed after seeing these people and just the selflessness and not wanting to take any money. Marion, obviously being a hostie at that time, my God, all the training in the world. I mean, you would have had so much training, but a terrorist attack of that magnitude, you could never have been trained for that. What went through your mind and body when the captain said to you, what had happened? And then you had to walk through the cabin like, hi, anyone want some Pringles? Like, you know what I mean? How did you...
Hear me.
Yeah, how did you feel?
Well, you do your job, and we couldn't tell any of our passengers. We had to consider at that point that everyone and everything was considered suspect. So it was frightening. So we were on high alert and did our job as best as we could. We were the second to the last plane to land in Gander. We had come from London and we were going to Houston.
Yeah.
And Nick and Diane were actually on my flight. They
Yes.
weren't together on the way over, but they were together on the way back.
I love that.
Really together.
I love that. So how true, like, to tale was that story? Because it's just a love story to come out of something like
It
that.
is a true love story. They're in Houston now and married and are still big contributors to this beautiful play. It's just wonderful.
How did you feel, and I'll ask each of you this question if you can just let me know, when you knew that they were going to make a musical about this?
I thought, how?
Yeah. Like, what would you, did you have questions? Were you immediately excited, or did you think, oh, geez, I don't know how this is going to, people are going to come and see this? I mean, a Tony Award-winning musical, right? It's just, is it not the most brilliant thing you've ever seen? I just absolutely loved it. But how did you feel? Was there any negative emotion?
It's so appropriate for our times now. It's something that we need and we always need to be reminded of.
Yeah.
You know, just we all are in this world together. We all need each other. It's a big message and one to learn.
And you know, no matter how dark the night gets, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And there's someone there that'll put their arm around you, put their cares and all that, you know, way down on the list and make you important enough. And it does, you know.
I mean, for me, when they told me that, you know, because during the anniversary, they said there's 2 young people that want to meet you, talk to you, and they're going to write a musical about Gander and 9/11. And I kind of laughed and said, you're kidding me, right? How do you make a musical out of soup, sandwiches, and a blanket? Let's figure this out. So I did sit down with them for the 4 or 5 hours. And the worst thing about it, I feel so guilty, is because I likes to swear just a little bit. And I mean, I was telling them everything that went on, you know, and all this stuff. And I had a few F-bombs in there and everything else. But when I seen the musical, I'm telling you, I was, because one of the things about Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, our language is a little bit different, and our mannerisms and some of the stuff we say. And I was afraid that with this musical, it was going to turn into a big Newfie joke.
Yeah.
And I went and saw the play in Gander at the community center in our hockey arena. And lo and behold, I went, oh my God, they got it.
You know what? I really think they did, because it was almost like a beautiful lightness to the show, wasn't it? Because obviously it's such a heavy and topic and situation that happened. But it's almost like you guys, the Aussie slang is, you know, taking the mickey out of yourselves, but with respect to the Newfoundlands. Did you feel that, guys? That it was like sort of, I mean, the accent. That's an amazing accent. What is even at that? It's very unusual.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of English, Irish, you know.
Yeah.
That's predominantly what's there.
Yeah.
But there's no one Newfoundland accent. Actually, you can go to every little cove and bay and they got their own little twist and turn on the language. And it's absolutely beautiful. It's a lovely place to be. Some places they'll talk fast enough you can't even understand what you're saying. Like
I've been with some, as we call them, mainlanders, or come from a ways, and taken them out to 20 and they're listening to people talk, and then you'll see them look at you, and then they'll look at you, and they'll say, "Did you understand that?" And I said, "Yeah, I understood every word."
Do you
You're
guys
kidding me.
stay in touch with anybody else that was there, and how does that feel for you still now, so many years afterwards? Marion, do you stay in touch?
Brotherhood, a sisterhood. Whenever you go through something as this, you bond. Yeah. And it's just.
Are there emails? Like, what do you just keep in touch? Like, hey, my sister had a baby, or this happened, or that happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know, you know, the depicted characters, we stick together a lot. Matter of fact, I think we talk to Nick and Diane every Friday night.
Every Friday night we do a Zoom meeting with Nick.
You
Nick
do
and Diane.
not.
We do, every Friday night. Yeah, it started
Oh my
at the beginning of the pandemic, and it's...
For all you people out there, they still love each other as much as the first time they met. They are
Were they that cute in real life?
Yeah,
they were so polite and,
absolutely.
Yeah, and, you know, fix the hair. And,
yeah,
you know.
If you're the mushy type, I'm telling you, you'll love it.
Did they join the Mile High Club on the way back?
From what?
From what? Someone can answer that one.
Fill us in.
Oh my God, it's so rude. I can't believe I asked that. How did you, I'm so naughty.
By the way, the million steps up to the Dover Falls is actually 75.
Oh, okay.
In case we're coming, I said, my God, we can't climb, you know, we'll need a pack animal to get us up. It's actually 75 steps. And
Actually, the naughty person in me thinks, did you guys, I mean, you don't have to say, it's a Jeep, you know, it's a family show, but did you guys see some things and you're like, oh my God? Because I think when tragedy brings people together and there's whiskey involved, oh my goodness me. I'm sure there were things that the musical had to leave out.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it?
One or two.
One of the things...
I love Fudges is like, yes, don't ask anymore.
One of the things they did, Aer Lingus is out of Ireland, and they put the Aer Lingus passengers in the Legion.
Cheapest beer in Gander.
Cheapest beer in Gander.
Oh, okay.
And we had one young fellow who partook a little too much.
And Nanny
So-
Beulah wouldn't close the bar.
No, so we had, when he was, planes were gonna leave, the passengers didn't want him on there because he was too drunk. So we had to take him and throw him in the drunk tank and leave him there until about an hour before his flight left so he could go home.
And he ordered a beer as soon as he got back.
Oh, God. Did Oprah really ring?
Oh, God,
Oprah
no.
is still on my answering machine.
Oh,
yes, that
okay.
is
If I
true.
asked the wrong question here, Fudge, all right, tell us, Brian.
Yeah, you'll be good now. So sleep deprived me. Finally got back to work, I think, on Wednesday. And of course, uncharacteristic of me, I came home early. I just needed a nap. I was still sleep hungover. And when I got home, I wasn't in through the door. My principal called me and said, "Someone's looking for you." I said, "Who?" He said, "Oprah." I went, "What?" He said, "You got to come back up to school. I got a number you got to call. But Hillary from the Oprah show just called here and she wants you." So I did the 90-second commute to Gander Collegiate because everything at Gander is really close to itself. Yeah. And while I was on my way there, she looked up Mosier in the phone book. There's only one Mosier family in Gander, and she called and left a message on my answering machine. Now, are you ever going to erase Oprah from your answering machine?
Oh, my God,
no. No, don't, you're not. It's still there. I don't know if the phone still works, but it's on what used to be the landline when we used them in the dining room.
I have no idea. I mean, I've heard it.
You should have seen David Hein the night he was at the house and said, "Is there any truth to the fact that Oprah called here?" And I said, "Go out in the dining room and just press the answering machine." And one that I had an answering machine and was still plugged in, and I had the airspace closed, which left me, and I didn't even realize it at the time. Kevin Harvey was shooting for the evening news. He shot a little bit, just enough to do his news stories. And we were literally blanketing the town. Everything. It filled 7 DVDs, all the raw footage from that week. And she wanted it. And I actually gave it to her. And she passed it up to ABC News. And Peter Jennings did the first, what was it called? Angels of Hope. It's on YouTube. And you'll see some of the footage there. And Tom Brokaw's Project Yellow Ribbon used some of it as well. Both on YouTube. If you get a chance, just watch it. They're fantastic productions. But yeah, we had the only footage, and there was a lot of it.
You know, it's hard to imagine in a world now where we are glued to our mobile phones. Like, I'm absolutely addicted to mine. I mean, I work in radio, TV, media, so I need it. That's my excuse. I need my phone. How different would it have been if you guys had had the technology? I mean, it just would have been a totally different experience for everyone. The fact that people had to line up to use an old school telephone, I think for us now is like, oh my God, I can't even imagine.
By Newfoundland times, the trade centers fell at noon, lunchtime. The planes, the tower strikes were 10:15 and 10:40 or something in the morning. I talked to a guy from New York that night at midnight who asked me what was going on in New York. And when he said, "There's a rumor that a plane hit the World Trade Center." I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Was there much damage?"
Ooh.
Now, what do you say at midnight when you've been at the school turning it into a hotel since 7 o'clock since lunchtime? And I'm going, and then he said, "Was it the North or South Tower?" And I went, "Well, there's 2 holes in the ground. There's a hole in the Pentagon. There's a plane down in Pennsylvania." And he looked at me, he said, "No, you're kidding, the World Trade Center." I said, "You better come over and lean on the wall and look at me." And about as serious as I ever got, and I went, "This is real."
Yeah.
Right?
Wow. Marion, sorry to get all down, but did you?
Bring her back up.
I'll bring it back up. No, but did you lose people?
No, but
Hosties? Did you know any hosties that were on any of those planes?
No, there were 2 United aircrafts that left Boston Logan that morning. And the American aircraft that left Dulles Airport, which is in Virginia, it's the one that hit the Pentagon. And both of the United aircraft were completely full of fuel because they were going over to the West Coast.
Yeah, wow.
So hence just the big,
There's an interesting
horrible thing that happened.
Yeah, my God. There was a big thing about how all the planes were jettisoning their fuel.
Yes.
But over Gander, a little bit over you got. Like, how did that work? That must have been horrible.
Well, see, they couldn't land with full or half tanks.
No.
Because they couldn't land. So, and they didn't want them to land with fuel in the planes. Reason being, if there was something on the plane and it blew, then you have all this fuel, so you can imagine the explosion that you would get.
Yeah.
So what they were doing was getting planes were circling the town, and when it was their turn, they had to go up so high, drop their fuel, come down and land. And the problem with that was the town just stank of jet fuel for a couple of days.
Oh, God.
It's like stinky kerosene.
Yes.
It's actually on the inside of your cheeks,
Yeah.
for those of us covering it.
You knew there was something wrong when you started to smell all that jet fuel. And
It's on your clothes and everything.
yes,
Yeah,
Pretty stinky.
wow.
I'm glad I didn't smoke.
Yeah. You know what? You guys have been amazing. I've been hogging you. Please, let's open it up to questions from the audience. This is such a beautiful, rare opportunity for you to ask whatever. There's
Whatever.
absolutely no question that you can't ask. Hello.
Hi, Brian, my question's for you.
Yes.
I noticed that there was a significant difference between the character that was based on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about those changes?
I love it because Janice and I are the best of friends. Janice is actually Janice Henstrich when she was there, Janice Gowdy now. She was a newspaper reporter on her first day on the job. She literally had to go to the trunk of her car on September the 11th, take out a box with a recorder, a notepad, and a pen, and when someone told her where the airport was and how to get there, go out and cover it. Janice and I would go on, actually Janice, who I, for the first 3 days, called the new girl at the Beacon because I never had time to ask her name. We are now like the best of friends. We talk all the time. And actually during the 20th anniversary, she stayed at the house, and she's just a beautiful soul. And she was the first one of us to see it. She saw it as a demonstration piece at Sheridan College in Ontario. And she called me. And she said, one, you're not going to believe this. You and I are the same character. And it didn't explode when they put them together.
So she was a person.
Oh, Janice is a person.
yeah?
Janice
Okay.
Henstrich, Janice Gowdy. She's now the host of CBC Labrador Morning
She's a lot better looking.
in Happy Valley. Not only that.
I want to throw that.
Oh,
in.
yeah, well, that was how they could get the good look portion up, yeah. So, but yeah,
I think
she's
they made
Janice
the right
is
choice.
Janice is a real person and
Yes.
and a lovable soul. She also came out of 9/11 married. She interviewed an RCMP officer her first day covering it and married him.
Oh,
Constable Jerry Gowdy and
Okay.
Janice are together. They have a little girl, Grace, who's finishing high school next year.
Oh, wow.
And yeah,
and
great.
just quickly, do you guys still live in Gander?
We do. Yeah.
Both of you. Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, still
Thank you.
I retired from policing about 4.5 years ago.
I
Yeah, but I
retired
don't
from
imagine you would
teaching.
ever retire, Fudge. I feel like you're
no.
still going around doing stuff and being an amazing
Giving out
father.
gift certificates and thanking
Thanking people.
Yeah.
I know.
We've got a question over here. Hello. Hi. Do you want to say
Hi.
your name?
Yeah, my name's Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Hi. Obviously, there's a lot of poetic license taken whenever you're doing a creative show, and I guess this is more of a question for our Newfoundlanders. Is everyone in Newfoundland as chilled out or laid back when it comes to people taking their barbecues, as is portrayed in the musical?
Good question. That was
And just a follow-up question after that is, did everyone get their barbecues back, safe and sound?
Oh yeah, it happens all the time. I've actually been eating supper and looked at my next door neighbor grilling on my grill out on the back deck because he ran out of propane on his. You know, we had, like, as neighbors, we would have keys to each other's houses, keys to each other's sheds. If you can't find a Phillips screwdriver in yours, go over in his and get it. We're like that.
A prime example of that was there was a family of 4 in St. John's at Signal Hill, and they couldn't get a rent-a-car, and they bumped into 2 ladies from St. John's. And in the conversation, they mentioned that they can't go anywhere else because. So the lady just took the keys out of her purse and said, "Here, take my car, go on and do what you gotta do."
wow.
And the address is on the registration. Just drop it in the driveway, leave the keys on the floor, and go on. And that's what they did. And there's a lot of people like that on the Rock.
That's amazing. Because I'm with you. I thought, a bit of poetic license there. They can't all be that bloody nice. Surely, if someone stole my web, I'd be like, oi, oi. But that's,
You got to remember, Newfoundland's an island like Australia, so where are you going to go?
yeah. You're all stuck with each other, right?
We'll get you on the first boat.
Yeah.
What's the kind of reaction that you guys get? Do you have people coming up afterwards? Like if you're in the audience and just saying, oh my
Pick a
goodness.
reaction from,
Roller
yeah.
coaster.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that we were told when we went to London, because we went to London for the opening, and we were told, listen here, you're talking British. The Brits, they're very stick up the bum, I think it was in the show. They're very, so if you get a little clap like
golf
that,
clap.
you're doing really good. And if there's some people are standing up, it's because they know someone on stage. So we're walking in and we sit down and we go through the play, and next thing you know, when it was over, boom, the whole place went up and everybody stood up, and I'm looking around saying,
Where's the golf clap?
yeah.
Yeah, look, please, I'm saying this from my heart because I've been talking about it on the radio the whole time, and it's hard because my co-host hadn't seen the show, and I was like, it's actually one of the most inspiring, beautiful, well-written, funny, clever, amazing shows. So please tell your friends. Will you tell all your friends to come and see this show? We're here for 3 weeks. Do we have any more questions before we wrap up? Anyone
We go
else?
over there.
Yep, we've got one over there. Wonderful. Thanks
G'day.
for coming
My
along.
name's Helen.
Helen.
Thanks so much for sharing your story. It was really just amazing. And I agree, I've never seen a standing ovation like that either in musical theatre, so thank you. I just wanted to ask, was it true with all the money that was donated at the end, and did you guys do a scholarship or something in the town? What happened with that money that was donated by all the passengers?
There are several. One of the biggest ones is the one out in Lewisport, and that has put kids totally through university now for 20 years.
There's $2 million in that scholarship.
Yeah, there's
Wow.
a new doctor right now in Botwood, at the Botwood Clinic, and she went to Lewisport High School, and she literally went through her med degree on that scholarship. There's one or two every year. I mean, that's the one Shirley Brooks Jones organized. Similar ones at Gander Collegiate, similar ones at St. Paul's. The scholarship fund is huge, and a lot of it, having worked in the school community, came in anonymously,
Yes.
right?
And a lot of it, there was a lot of people donated at specific schools too.
Yes.
So like the one school got a full lab, another school got all computers.
That was Lewisport Intermediate.
Yeah, and like Gander Academy, they had the $60,000 or $70,000, and they were able to do some work with the school that they couldn't afford to do. So it was truly amazing what went on. And I will say that no one asked for money. We were insulted if we were offered money. And I think that's what threw a lot of people off, is that no, absolutely not.
That must have cost you guys a fortune to feed everybody. Like, where did it come from?
You've never seen food around the clock like it before, and I'll tell you, this is a beautiful story. First officer on a major European carrier flew back to, I'll give it away now, he flew back to Frankfurt wearing the top half of his flight suit and Walmart sweatpants. Because the sweatpants that fit him on Tuesday, he said if he tried to sit in a seat with those things done up, like there would be internal organ damage.
See,
This was the guy who a week later I got a fax, this is 2001, a fax from Bombay International Airport. Dear Brian, I can't get it out of my head, so please send me the recipe. That white fish and cheesy cream stuff, need to know how to make it. So I photocopied my cookbook and faxed it back to Bombay, India.
Oh my
he was on a layover there, and he sent just this big thanks back. And apparently he has cooked it in Frankfurt.
you got to remember, well, not remember, but for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, if nothing else, we likes to eat. I'm medium chubby myself. So if you're ailing, we feed you. If you're happy, we feed you. If you're just sad, we'll feed you. It don't make no difference.
Yeah,
And the
if a
Salvation
Newfoundlander
Army,
invites you for a cup of tea, it's not just for a cup of tea.
no. And see, and that's how it was done. Like the Canadian Red Cross were the ones that handled all the passengers that were coming off the flights. So they were the ones to pick out the schools. And then they took a step down, and it was the Salvation Army that handled the food aspect of it. And in Newfoundland, I don't know about anywhere else, but when it comes to Salvation Army, they do like to eat. So they were able to, I'm telling you. But the thing was, one of the stories that they mentioned about moose at the Elks Club, really it was moose at Gander Collegiate.
Another one of Oz's great announcements that
Yes,
he brought in.
and the fellow wanted to try, because we bottle moose, all right?
Preserve it.
What?
You preserve it.
Yeah, you boil it in a bottle and it vacuum seals itself, but it tenderizes the meat as well.
Yes.
It's delicious.
Okay,
And-
I'll trust
and,
you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, fry
And
out a pan full of onions, throw the bottle of mousse in on top.
Yeah, and a hunter in Gander Collegiate had never tried it, so he asked,
Into the station he comes.
Resident Ding Dong. He cut me off. Resident Ding Dong there. I figured I'd throw that back at him.
I had it coming.
Put it out over the air, and next thing you know, there was about 20
20
pounds
bottles of mousse and
Yeah.
3 casserole dishes where
Yeah.
people were having bottle mousse for supper, and they brought it in. They took their own
Yeah.
supper and brought
right
it
off the
Oh,
stove.
wow.
And buddies are, I wanted to try a forkful. He had okay, what are you going to do with this? But
Yeah.
everything you asked for, you got it in multiples of what you were expecting.
And he mentioned the
So
casserole, the casserole dish.
Well, the pasta one.
The air traffic control fellas, they had nothing else to do, and they have their own kitchen. And so they got these silver pans.
Tinfoil disposable
Yeah,
roasters.
and they cut them up and made a big one, and it took 3 fellas to lift it into the community center for people.
They had their arms out like forklifts and they walked sideways into the door. At least
Yes.
what they brought fit in through the door.
Yes.
Not like a 4 foot by 8 foot
Don't
cake.
mention the cake.
32 square feet of cake.
I've never seen a
Cake gate.
fella so taken with a cake.
What's your
gate.
story of the day? Well, off the top, we're going to go with a giant cake that Oz had brought up to St. Paul's. Let's go now to St. Paul's, where Oz has a giant cake that he can't get in the building. Took 6 fellas to get it out of the back of the truck.
Would have made for some entertaining television, though. One last question before we wrap it up. Oh, there's a lady here in the orange. If we can get her
There.
a microphone. Wow. It's awesome having access to you guys and being able to ask these kind of questions, isn't it? It's really, really special. Lady in the orange. Hello.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
It's a comment more than a question. I was first, got a little bit of knowledge about Newfoundland from the book, The Shipping News,
Okay.
written by Annie
course,
Proulx
yeah.
in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely intrigued, and I've always told my husband, I want to go to Newfoundland from that book. And it was the landscape,
Yeah.
but also the sense of community and humanity.
Yeah.
So many interesting, quirky characters. And here you are, you've brought it to us again, to the humanity of, absolute tragedy, but the love that can come out of that.
When they shot that movie, Kevin Spacey showed up with his bodyguards and driver and security. And he went into the bar that night, and here's the really big guys around him, and everybody's going, who are they? That's my security guard. What did they do? They look after me. Why?
Yeah.
They ended up enrolling in the local softball league, the local dart league, the local pool league.
And
They had nothing to do.
He
had
sent
nothing
them
to
home.
do.
He sent the bodyguards home. He
Sent
said,
'em
I
home.
don't need them
Yeah.
out here.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, to recommend to everyone here, if you want to know more, read the book and then see the movie, because it's just so brilliant. And,
There is a book.
Thank you for bringing this to us as well.
Bless you.
There is a book, The Day the World Came to Town. It was written by Jim DeFeedy. If you want to read something on what went on in central Newfoundland, I'll say Gander, Glenwood, Appleton, Benton. It's done beyond belief. It's really, really good.
And a new publication just came out. It's by a local. He was principal of the College of the North Atlantic, where Kevin and Kevin stayed. It's called Flown into the Arms of Angels by Mac Moss. It's just released on actually last September.
Yeah.
And that's brilliant. It's
Great
done by a
title.
local.
I mean, that's apt.
Flown into the Arms
Yes.
of Angels, yeah.
It's beautiful. Were you putting your hand up for a question? No. Okay. Come from away, absolutely magical. 38 planes, nearly 7,000 people. A tiny town came together to help these terrified, displaced people from 92 countries around the world.
Yep.
Spontaneous kindness, hope, love, and selflessness. 16,000 stories over a 5-day period, made into a 100-minute musical. 12 actors. How incredible were those actors all
Yes.
coming in and out of different characters? I was just, oh my God. I was looking at the guy and I'm like, oh my God, he's the gay guy. Oh no, now he's the guy. Oh my God, he's the chef. Oh my God. so talented, right? Like, oh my goodness, that very, very talented cast. I think another round of applause for that. Amazing cast. They deserve all the awards and all the accolades. What do they remember? Like, what accents to go into? And oh my God.
One of the things that people, someone had mentioned earlier, when I'll do this during the break, and there is no break, and there was a reason behind that, is that the producers felt that what was going on in Gander at that time, there was no break for the residents.
Of course.
Some of them were working 24/5.
24/5.
Yeah, and
was one of them.
Never gave up. And so they felt that the musical itself should just run right through.
You can actually stay awake long enough that both eyes go black and you'll have a cold sore across your entire bottom lip and the TV lights will dry your face out.
And that's the best.
I look great.
That's
why
the
they had
best
to put
he's ever
Janice
looking.
in.
I'll tell
They
you
had to
that
put
right
Janice
now.
into the character as well. Yeah, because what I looked like after those 5 days, you wouldn't want that on stage anywhere.
I think we'll wrap that there unless we've got another question from anybody.
Oh, right there.
Or if there's,
Any questions?
I feel like I missed.
Oh, right there. Look.
Oh, there
right
is one
we
up the
go.
back. Up the back. Okay. You can be our last question. Thanks, guys, for staying back. And
Right over right there.
you've got another one here. Okay.
Fourth.
We can do that.
Yeah. Right
Question
there.
I'm interested.
Hello.
Oh,
Oh,
One on one. Okay.
I'm up here
All
with
right.
the microphone.
all right, go for it.
Just a question, I mean, the show's been going for what, 4 years? 5?
5 now, yeah.
So I'm interested how it's changed due to the COVID. So you've had this worldwide disruption that has really changed a lot of people's attitude to a lot of things, I think. And I wonder how you guys feel about that with the show and how that has come into the whole thing.
Well, the show with the COVID, it got New York. New York is scheduled to shut down October 2nd. As for the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, when it came to the COVID, we have a Dr. Fitzgerald. She shut the province down and no one complained. As a matter of fact, she was getting cards and letters and
Open bar tabs.
open bar tabs. I was going to say in downtown St. John's, people had bar tabs for her, and she had to get on TV and say, "Don't do that," because my kids love it.
She doesn't drink apparently, and her kids were having a good time with it.
As for COVID, I mean, we knew everything was shutting down. It got Toronto, but Toronto's coming back. I'm so glad that you guys are back.
Yeah.
And it's, again, as was said, you need to get it out there. This is something that you look at the world today, you need that hour and a half, that 2 hours of feeling that you're alive.
Yeah,
That
inspiration.
there's something, because again, love is I believe there's even a song, "Love is the Answer" or something. That's what it is. That's what
don't sing it.
this play is about. No, I won't sing it. I'll guarantee you that.
That got scary for a second.
We will do that. We will do another question. Yeah, go for it. If we can get you a microphone, sorry. It's
Raise your
I'm
hand
so
again.
sorry. Maybe if
Right
we
in the middle,
pass it.
right
It's
there.
right in the middle, I know, which is, unless you want to stand up and, okay, go. Big loud voice, go. Best thing to do in Newfoundland. if
Bring
you
one
like.
pair of really stretchy pants for on the way back because you're going to be 5 pounds heavier. Seriously,
Oh.
the hospitality, we're famous for our big portions. So if you're going to go into a restaurant or someone's home to eat, you're going to have a plate filled to the brim. People are going to be extremely hospitable to you. I think we're under the assumption everybody's starving to death and we're the last bitch to save them all. The hospitality is amazing, but get out by the ocean, bring your camera.
I was going to say that depending on the time of year, if you want to go when there's icebergs on the go, then you go May, June. Now the weather is not like you got outside there. But if you want to get on a boat and go out and just right by a 10, 15-story iceberg,
Wow.
then yeah.
See them, and there's iceberg tours all over the place.
Yeah.
But when the icebergs sort of move out, then the little fish called the capelin come in the bay, then the whales chase them in. Right now it's humpback season.
And
the bays are full.
one of the things you do, if you do decide to come, is you send myself or Brian a message and we'll pick you up at the airport. We'll take you to the hotel.
Yeah, there's a little
and
ritual that
will
we need to put you
definitely
through.
screech you in.
Yeah, and it's not even open. Oh, yeah.
And we want fish and cheese. Do we want fish and cheese?
No,
I want fish
not a
and
problem.
cheese.
And that sort of thing, yeah. And give yourself lots of time while you're there.
Yes.
It looks like a small island. It's bigger than it looks on the map. And one of the things we find is that people don't give themselves enough time to see, the whole thing. You could spend 10 days and just see central Newfoundland, not go on the same road twice. Then there's the eastern, the Avalon. There's the whole northern peninsula, the Viking resettlement in Lansom Meadows.
And we can't forget Labrador.
And Labrador as well.
That's the big land. We call it the big land.
Big land. Yeah.
And the population there is only about 35,000. So if you wanted to go off and not see anybody for months, then you go to Labrador and romps around in the woods.
Yeah, and your love of fish and chips will be fulfilled 1,000 times over. Lobster's really good right now. Lobster's in season, and it's not an expensive thing in Newfoundland. Mussels. I mean, there's a place in Lewisport you can get mussels straight out of the water, $2 a pound.
I'm hungry now.
Pulled within the hour. And they're full. The shells are full. We do pride
I call that
ourselves on
snot, but that's okay.
Oh, meat and potatoes, here he is. But yeah, if you love seafood especially, but give yourself the time, take in the bed and breakfast to hospitality homes that are there. You'll stay in old salt box houses and they're available to rent and so on. It's a beautiful place. Late spring, summer, or early fall. Don't come in the winter. Unless one of your bucket list items is to learn how to use a snowblower.
If you want to come in the wintertime, there's only 10 or 15 feet of snow around.
Yeah.
And you could go skidooing.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, skidooing is an absolute,
Oh, yeah. Groom trail system or cross-country skiing or snowshoeing and that sort of thing. We've got some great downhill ski facilities as well. So
What is Gold Coast is we're all like, what? Oh my God, snow?
Snow.
Snow!
Yeah, okay, let me put this to you. The window in the front of my house is 10 feet off the ground, and I've seen it 4 feet up the living room window, up the window, 14 feet of snow.
This is your winter now. Let me tell you, I'd love to have your winter home.
Mid-February, we're praying for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even for summer, I'd love to have that weather.
God, yes, we've had summers we haven't been that good. Yeah.
We've had snow in July and August, so that's just.
It sounds like an amazing place to visit.
It is.
Unbelievable.
It is.
You've definitely made us want to go. Marion, these two, you haven't had much of a chance to speak.
I know. I'm sorry.
Is there anything you want to Is there anything you want to say?
Oh, I just think.
No, these two are great. They're like Waldorf and Statler from a bloody Muppet show.
Fantastic.
Love them.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, they're
I think
entertaining.
Just go out, tell your friends about this beautiful musical.
Yeah.
And the people of Newfoundland. And I really have seen it numerous times. And just every time I see it, it takes me back. It's so accurate. Yeah. It feels, the feelings all come running back. And that was 21 years ago, which is so hard to believe, but it's magical.
And hot towel, cold towel was a real thing, isn't it?
It was a real thing.
Come from away. You can follow on Instagram. Please tag if you've seen it. Take a photo. There's a great selfie wall out there. Please take photos, tag, let all your friends know, put it on Facebook because, musical theatre. I'm a huge musical theatre fan, and today was so inspiring. So we want to make sure that the houses are packed. So will you do that for us? Will you make sure that you let everyone know to come and see this amazing show? Rodney and the team have just absolutely blown us away.